It's 8 p.m. and here are our top stories. Mandatory evacuations underway in Larimer County as a wildfire threatens several homes.
Gusty winds will be a concern all weekend long, along with dry conditions.
As fire season begins, Boulder County using lessons learned just weeks ago to prevent future fires.
When those areas burned, it burned less intensely than it would have historically or prior to our management in the area.
And 2 suspects considered armed and dangerous wanted for robbing an AutoZone.
Plus, lawmakers fighting chemicals linked to cancer and the everyday household products containing them.
And the really dangerous thing is that they never go away or break down.
We are continuing coverage tonight. Mandatory evacuations underway in Larimer County. A large wildfire is burning near Lyons.
And just into the newsroom, we now know the fire is burning an estimated 300 acres at 0% containment. This is video from Air Tracker 7 showing just how close that fire is burning to buildings. At least, though, a spokesperson with Boulder Fire says winds are down, and that's helping to slow the spread. And thankfully, so far, no injuries or damaged homes have been reported.
So to get a better sense of the location, this fire is near Blue Mountain and Blue Mountains Ranch. So this is north of Lyons. All residents on Vision Way, which is right by Blue Mountain Ranch, have been told to evacuate. Those living on Dakota Ridge Road and Chimney Hollow Road also need to leave.
Denver 7's Rob Harris joins us live from Lyons. Rob, I know you spoke to a couple forced to flee tonight.
Yeah, Danny, a lot of people up here just really worried not only about this specific fire, but really just the fact that fire season seems to be year-round now, and they're always kind of on edge with the threat of a fire. Now, as for the current conditions, the temperatures have fallen quite a bit in the last hour or so. Winds picked up a little bit, maybe in the last 10 or 20 minutes, but it's significantly less than it was this afternoon, and that is good. That is letting the fire do what firefighters call lay down at night, which means it kind of recedes a little bit, gets closer to the ground, and that means that they can monitor it, but wait till the morning to take a more aggressive approach. But I was able to speak with some residents as they were coming down the mountain from evacuating their homes. And I talked to one man from Boulder who drove up to help his son and daughter-in-law evacuate their home, which instantly gave him flashbacks to the Marshall and NCAR fires he lived through in Boulder.
Oh, well, you know, the climate shift that we've got is for real. I mean, I've lived in Boulder for 48 years, and I don't remember any series of time like this. I mean, there have been fires in the past, but not repeatedly like this, and who knows how they're starting.
Now, like I said, firefighters are feeling reasonably good going into the evening, but they have to put some residents on standby so that they're ready to evacuate if things change anymore overnight. And then, as I said, tomorrow morning is when Boulder Fire says they will take a more aggressive approach, because that's when the temperatures will come back up and the relative humidity will come back down, and that could increase the risk of the fire spreading further. Back to you guys.
Rob Harris, thanks very much up in Larimer County. We still don't have any information on how many buildings are threatened right now, or just how big. Well, actually, we do. Just before we came on the air, it's 300 acres right now.
Yeah, no, we just got that very recently. So let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson. Now, Mike, we've had red flag warnings all day across the Front Range and up near Lyons.
They've all been lifted now as the winds are lightening up as we get into evening, and the winds have calmed down a little bit. They're not nearly as strong, and we actually have a convergence line, if you will. Northeasterly winds coming in right along I-25, westerly winds up into the mountains and foothills. So it's going to be kind of a turbulent wind, but a lighter wind in the area around that fire. This is what we're seeing on radar. There's been a couple of light little showers. Earlier we saw some smoke indicated on the radar. These showers are kind of inconsequential, but there is an air quality alert across much of Larimer and Boulder County because of the smoke in that area. And for tonight and tomorrow, there's just a little bit of rain coming in, not very much. The temperatures are still not going to be all that hot tomorrow. We're going to cool off tonight. The winds and the humidity will be improving a little bit. The humidity coming up, the winds lightening up, but the overall long-range forecast still has dry and windy conditions for the next 5 to 6 days. There is some moisture in the 7 day, and I'll talk about that in more detail in just a few minutes.
All right, we could use it. Thank you, Mike. Fire management crews in Boulder County are using their experiences learned from fires earlier this year to help prevent fires that likely will happen in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it was only 20 days ago that firefighters battled the NCAR fire there, and Denver 7's Patrick Perez shows us how mitigation efforts helped slow the spread.
Unless you're paying close attention, you wouldn't know a fire burned through Bear Canyon in Boulder.
It's a little hard to tell now that everything is sort of greened up.
And while the NCAR fire certainly left its mark, what happened here several weeks ago could have been another fire nightmare for this county.
When those areas burned, it burned less intensely than it would have historically or prior to our management in the area.
Chris Warner, Boulder's Vegetation Stewardship Senior Manager, says the city's decades-long mitigation efforts involving livestock grazing and forest thinning paid off.
In a mitigated area or a grazed area, we were seeing flame lengths of 1 to 2 feet, which is a place where you may kind of pull the resources back, but you can directly attack the fire with hoses and water and hand tools.
Compare that with flames leaping 12 feet into the air in untreated areas. The difference was night and day for firefighters.
The fact that there was less fuel on the ground and it burned less intensely gave us an opportunity to kind of jump on the fire quicker and hopefully, have a direct impact on the size and the extent of the fire.
And people like Carla Shopper, who live in the Devil's Thumb neighborhood, are grateful for that.
I think the mitigation efforts have been really amazing.
Like many, she had just minutes to grab her belongings and evacuate.
It was very scary. We went from getting ready for a birthday party to evacuating. So it happened in just a heartbeat.
It took an all-hands-on-deck effort by multiple fire agencies to make sure people and homes remain safe and out of the NCAR fire's path. And while the cattle may be unaware their hunger for grass played a big part, the city has taken notice as it tries to remain prepared for the next wildfire. Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
Thank you, Patrick. And Chris says they plan to expand the areas where the cattle can graze and increase that forest thinning so the city has more treated areas should another fire occur.
We had another fire today in southern Colorado, the small grass fire along I-25 near Tejon Street in Colorado Springs. Crews were able to get on scene quickly and put it out before it got out of control.
The King Soopers gunman has again been found incompetent to stand trial in the murders of 10 people. Another review is scheduled for July. In March, an evaluation found there to be a substantial probability that the suspect will eventually be restored to what is called competency.
A fire this afternoon in South Denver destroyed 4 townhomes, and unfortunately a dog was killed as well. Air Tracker 7 flew over the scene to find heavy damage at the Granville townhomes. Denver Fire says 1 person had to be taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation and minor burns. Also, 4 other units were damaged. No word yet on just how many people are displaced.
The search is on for 2 armed suspects after they tried to rob an AutoZone at gunpoint on Thursday in Commerce City. Commerce City police are looking for these 2 suspects you're seeing right now, Christopher Diaz Jr. and Lupe Gonzalez, who are wanted for attempted murder. Police say that they fired multiple shots while trying to rob that AutoZone on 58th and Quebec Street. Thankfully, no one was injured. Afterwards, they fled the scene in 2 separate stolen F-350 trucks. Police say one of the trucks is still outstanding, and the only detail they provided is that the color was black. Both suspects are considered armed and dangerous, so anyone with information, please call 911.
PFAS, also known as forever chemicals, are a common component in a lot of everyday items.
Yeah, they're used in everything from like makeup to non-stick pans, but they've also been linked to adverse health effects like cancer.
And now Colorado lawmakers are considering a much broader bill to ban them from many consumer products. Denver 7 political reporter Megan Lopez tonight.
It's a chemical used in a lot of consumer products. From cookware to carpets, fast food wrappers to cosmetics, PFAS or forever chemicals are common.
So I'll be the first to admit, or maybe my husband will, that I am not the best cook in the world. So nonstick pans and pots are kind of a lifesaver. But the chemical that makes them nonstick is PFAS. That's the full name. I'm gonna spare you and not try to say it myself. It's a chemical that's made life pretty convenient.
When they were developed, it seemed like a great solution.
It was convenient in firefighting foam for quickly putting out flames.
I have over 20 parts per trillion of PFAS in my systems.
But Liz Rosenbaum knows there can be a downside to convenience.
That's 20 times higher than the average person.
So does Dr. Deetra Duncan.
My husband came up with cancer that that is non-existent in his family.
Both women live in El Paso County, where PFAS from a nearby military airfield contaminated the water supply. The chemical has been linked to some cancers and health defects. Colorado has taken steps to ban the chemical's use in some instances. This legislative session, lawmakers are looking to phase out PFAS in consumer products starting in 2024. Carpets, cookware, cosmetics, furniture, and some fabrics would be included.
It's become obvious that these are incredibly dangerous and toxic to human health.
Last month, Burger King announced it would phase out PFAS in its food packaging, following chains like McDonald's and Wendy's. Representative Lisa Cutter says that proves it's possible. Others
They are of no significant concern in cookware.
raised concerns that the bill is too broad or that the consumer products are not like firefighting foam.
And as written, the definition includes hundreds, if not thousands, of different chemistries with very different physical and chemical properties.
Even with a phase out, Duncan wonders what all this will mean.
Do low-income families have the opportunity to go through their homes and completely gut out carpet and replace? They don't.
But supporters say it's time to move away from these chemicals, even at the sake of convenience.
I would really prefer to use a different cooking pan. That's not going to give me cancer along with a over-easy egg.
Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
Coming up on Denver 7 News at 8, as people prepare for a weekend of holiday gatherings, a new tool in the fight against COVID is ready to roll out.
If you're going to see somebody high risk, get a test before you do that.
Pretty nice weather for today. Will it hold for the rest of the holiday weekend?
Plus, the Nuggets have arrived in San Francisco. Denver 7 sports anchor Nick Rothschild is there too, ahead of Game 1 in the playoff series.
Cancer tried to get in the way of their wedding plans, but it couldn't stop this Colorado couple from having their special day.
This is more than I could have ever asked for.